Have you ever noticed how quickly people lose their power the moment they lose their temper? 1 second they're making sense, the next they're shouting, shaking, and saying things they'll regret. And in that moment, no matter how strong their point was, it gets buried under the weight of their emotions. Now think about the other side, the person who stays calm, who doesn't raise their voice, who doesn't break their composure. That's the one everyone remembers as strong. That's the one who leaves the lasting impression. The truth is, calmness is a hidden weapon in any argument. Most people think strength is shown by speaking louder, by dominating the conversation, by winning at any cost. But real strength is not about who shouts the loudest, it's about who can stay centered when the fire starts burning. When you remain calm, you don't just control yourself, you control the entire atmosphere of the discussion. Because people feed off energy, and when your energy is steady, theirs begins to shift. Psychologists have proven that when emotions rise, logic falls. Anger and fear trigger the part of your brain that reacts instead of thinks. That's why arguments spiral so quickly, because both sides stop listening and start fighting. But the one who stays calm keeps access to their clear mind. They see options others can't. They respond instead of react. And that is where the real power lies. Think about the times you've walked away from an argument and wished you had handled it differently. Maybe you said something that didn't reflect who you really are. Maybe you let someone push you into losing your balance. We've all been there. But imagine for a moment what would happen if you could master your calm. Imagine facing conflict without shaking, without rushing, without letting anyone pull you out of your peace. That kind of self-control doesn't just change how people see you, it changes how you see yourself. The reward for mastering calmness is bigger than winning an argument. It's about respect. It's about influence. People don't respect the one who explodes. They respect the one who stays steady under pressure. They trust that person more. They listen to that person more. Calmness gives you authority without you having to demand it. It makes people take your words seriously because your tone shows you are not fighting for approval. You are speaking from strength. And the beautiful thing is, calmness is something you can practice. It begins with your breathing. When tension rises, your breath becomes shallow, your body gets ready to fight, and your voice becomes tight. But when you slow your breathing, you send a message to your nervous system, I am in control. This one shift lowers stress hormones and keeps your mind sharp. It's simple, but it's powerful. The next time you feel an argument heating up, take control of your breath before you take control of your words. Another part of staying calm is your tone. Notice how a steady, low, and controlled voice can silence a room faster than shouting. People expect chaos in an argument. They expect you to fight back. But when you don't, when you keep your voice calm and grounded, it surprises them. It disarms them. And suddenly, the conversation moves on your terms. You set the pace, and you decide the energy. That is how calmness turns into influence. But here's something deeper to think about. When you learn to master your calm, you are not just winning arguments. You are mastering yourself. You are proving to yourself that no one has the power to pull you away from who you truly are. Every time you remain calm under pressure, you build inner confidence. You stop being afraid of conflict because you know you can handle it. And when you lose fear of conflict, you walk through life with a quiet strength that others can feel the moment you enter a room. Ask yourself, what is stronger? Someone who can be provoked with a few words, or someone who cannot be shaken no matter what is thrown at them? True strength is unshakable, and calmness is what makes you unshakable. It doesn't mean you're silent. It doesn't mean you let others walk over you. It means you know when to speak and how to speak in a way that commands attention without ever losing control. The next time you find yourself in a heated moment, remember this truth. The one who stays calm holds the real power, not because they dominate, but because they remain untouchable. Calmness protects your mind, it protects your dignity, and it protects your energy. And when you can hold that kind of control, no argument can break you. Instead of being pulled into chaos, you rise above it. Instead of being weakened by anger, you are strengthened by clarity. Staying calm in arguments is not just a skill, it's a way of living with strength and respect. It allows you to carry yourself with dignity, even in the face of conflict. And the more you master it, the more unstoppable you become. Because once you learn that your peace is your greatest weapon, you'll realize something powerful. Nothing and no one has the right to take it away from you. Do you want me to now continue with the second section script in the same emotionally charged style, so the momentum flows naturally? Calmness gives you control, but control alone is not enough. To truly stand strong in an argument, you must also know where you stand and refuse to move from it. This is the essence of boundaries. Without boundaries, calmness can be mistaken for passivity. With them, calmness transforms into authority. Boundaries are not walls to push people away. They are lines that protect your energy, your values, and your dignity. They are the signal that says, "This is who I am, and this is what I will not allow." Many people crumble in arguments because they fear disapproval. They back down to avoid conflict, or they explode to cover insecurity. Both reactions come from the same place, a lack of boundaries. But when you build strong boundaries, you no longer fear being misunderstood, dismissed, or challenged. You no longer need to raise your voice because your presence already speaks for you. Boundaries are silent power. They tell others how to treat you without you having to say it twice. Psychology teaches us that people respect what is consistent. When you show up with clarity, when your words align with your actions, others take you seriously. But if you bend every time pressure comes, you teach people to push harder. This is why boundaries matter. They are not selfish, they are not harsh, they are necessary for respect. Boundaries protect your peace while giving others a clear understanding of your limits. And the moment you begin to live with them, you notice something powerful. Arguments no longer drain you because you already know what you will and will not accept. Think about how freeing it feels when you no longer have to fight for every word. You don't have to argue endlessly. You simply state your truth calmly and firmly. If someone refuses to respect it, that does not mean you are weak. It means they are showing you who they are, and you now have the strength to respond accordingly. Boundaries save you from wasting energy on people who thrive on conflict. They remind you that your peace is not up for negotiation. When you assert yourself, you are not trying to control the other person. You are simply standing in your own control. Assertiveness is not aggression. It is clarity. It is directness. It is truth delivered with confidence without apology. And this matters because people listen differently when they sense you are not desperate. They may not agree with you, but they will feel your strength. And deep down, everyone respects strength that doesn't need to shout. Imagine walking into every discussion with the confidence that you will not lose yourself, no matter how heated it becomes. Imagine knowing that you can disagree without disrespect, that you can stand your ground without being pulled into emotional chaos. That is the power of assertiveness. It builds trust within yourself. It shows you that you are capable of handling conflict without breaking your peace. And when you trust yourself in conflict, you begin to trust yourself in every other area of life. The greatest battles are not fought with volume, but with presence. Presence comes from boundaries. When you know your values, when you know your worth, and when you refuse to let anyone strip that away, you carry yourself differently. Your calmness has a foundation. Your words have weight. You no longer need to argue endlessly because your boundary is already the end of the conversation. There will always be people who test you. Some will try to push past your limits. Some will try to bait you into losing your composure. But you must remember that every time you stand firm without hostility, you strengthen your inner armor. Every time you calmly say no, every time you refuse to be dragged into chaos, you are training yourself to rise above instead of sinking down. This training is what creates real confidence, the kind that cannot be taken away. Boundaries are also a gift to others. They create clarity. They let people know where you stand so they don't have to guess. And whether they like it or not, they will respect it, because deep down, everyone admires those who stand for something. When you are firm yet calm, you show others a standard they cannot ignore. Even those who resist your boundaries will eventually see that your strength is not aggression, but self-respect. And self-respect always commands attention. The truth is, people may challenge your boundaries at first, but over time they learn that your firmness is not an invitation for battle. It is a reminder that you value yourself too much to play small. And when you value yourself, others will begin to value you more as well. Respect flows naturally to those who respect themselves enough to stand firm. Never forget this. Arguments are not about proving who is right or wrong. They are about showing who cannot be moved. The one who knows their limits and holds to them without aggression becomes untouchable. Boundaries, when paired with calmness, create a presence that few can shake. They turn conflict into clarity. They turn arguments into moments of growth. And they give you the kind of unshakable power that cannot be faked or forced. Would you like me to now continue into the final section script, carrying the same powerful energy and bringing everything to a climactic conclusion? When you have calmness and boundaries, you already stand in rare strength. But there is one more element that transforms arguments from battles into lessons, from chaos into mastery. That element is perspective. Perspective is the ability to step back, rise above, and see beyond the heat of the moment. It is the decision to value your peace more than your pride, your growth more than your need to win. Most arguments spiral because both sides are desperate to be right. Each person clings to their opinion like it's a trophy, terrified of losing it. But the truth is, needing to win is a trap. It keeps you chained to the other person's approval. It makes your sense of self dependent on proving them wrong. That is not strength. That is insecurity in disguise. The strongest person in the room is the one who is not desperate for victory because their worth is not tied to the outcome of the argument. They know who they are, whether others agree with them or not. This is the power of perspective. It takes you out of the battlefield and places you in a higher position. Suddenly, you are no longer trapped in the cycle of attack and defend. You see the bigger picture. You recognize that not every battle is worth fighting and not every opinion is worth your energy. Perspective teaches you to ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow? Will it matter a year from now? And most importantly, will winning this argument truly bring me peace, or will it only feed my ego? Psychology has shown that people who detach from the need to win are far less likely to feel regret after conflict. They make decisions that align with their values instead of decisions fueled by anger. They carry themselves with dignity because they never let a single moment of tension rewrite their character. And here's the truth. When you no longer need to win, you often end up winning in the ways that matter most. You keep your respect, you keep your peace, and you keep your power. Perspective is not weakness. It does not mean you walk away from everything. It means you choose your battles with wisdom. It means you recognize that your peace is more valuable than proving a point. And when others see that you cannot be baited, cannot be dragged into endless fights, they realize you are untouchable. They begin to understand that you are playing at a higher level, one where your energy is too valuable to be wasted on small disputes. Imagine standing in an argument where someone is doing everything they can to provoke you. They raise their voice, they throw insults, they twist your words, and instead of being pulled down, you remain calm, assertive, and then here's the key, you shift perspective. You see them not as an enemy to defeat, but as a reflection of their own struggles. You recognize that their anger belongs to them, not to you. And with that clarity, you refuse to let their chaos enter your heart. That is freedom. That is mastery. This kind of perspective also gives you strength in silence. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Not because you are avoiding conflict, but because you have already decided the conflict is not worth your peace. Silence can speak louder than any argument because it shows you have nothing to prove. It shows you are above the noise. And in that silence, people often realize they cannot control you, they cannot shake you, and they cannot drag you into their storm. When you rise above arguments with perspective, something incredible happens. You start carrying this mindset into every part of life. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop chasing validation. You stop letting people's words dictate your worth. And instead, you focus on what truly moves you forward. This is why perspective is so powerful. It doesn't just change how you handle conflict, it changes how you live. The truth is, calmness protects your mind, boundaries protect your energy, and perspective protects your peace. Together, they make you unshakable. Together, they make you a person others cannot manipulate, cannot provoke, and cannot control. When you master these three powers, arguments no longer intimidate you. You enter them knowing that no matter what happens, you cannot be moved from who you are. And that is the ultimate victory. Not proving someone else wrong, but proving to yourself that you cannot be shaken. The person who holds calmness, the person who lives with boundaries, the person who chooses perspective, that person does not just win arguments. They win life, they win respect, they win freedom, because nothing is more powerful than a human being who has mastered their own mind, their own energy, and their own peace. Would you like me to now write a final closing segment that ties all three sections together with a climactic motivational ending, leaving the audience deeply inspired and ready to act? When you learn to rise above arguments with calmness, boundaries, and perspective, you begin to realize something far greater. The real battle was never with the other person. The real battle was always with yourself. Every conflict you face is not just about words exchanged, it is a test of your self-mastery. It is a mirror showing you where you still give away your power, where your emotions still control you, and where your peace can still be stolen. The ultimate goal is not to silence others, but to silence the chaos within. That is where true freedom begins. Strength is not about proving superiority. Strength is about stability. The person who has mastered their emotions, who can stand in the storm without shaking, carries a kind of presence that cannot be denied. You feel it when you meet them. You sense it in how they walk, how they speak, how they hold themselves. They do not need to announce their power because it radiates naturally. That is the kind of strength arguments were meant to build in you, not the shallow victory of winning, but the deeper reward of inner command. Think about how powerful it feels when you no longer react to every insult. Imagine walking into a heated conversation with complete composure, knowing that nothing said can throw you off balance. That is not just control, that is liberation. Because the moment you stop being controlled by what others say or do, you step into a life where your emotions are no longer dictated by anyone else. You become the master of your own state of mind. And when you own your state of mind, you own your future. Life will never run short of people who try to challenge you. There will always be someone who wants to test your limits, someone who feeds on drama, someone who thrives on chaos. But the more you grow, the more you realize they are not the problem, they are the training. They are opportunities to sharpen your strength, to reinforce your calmness, to practice your boundaries, and to elevate your perspective. Every conflict becomes a stepping stone, a chance to prove to yourself that you are stronger than you were yesterday. This is how ordinary moments of disagreement transform into extraordinary moments of growth. Each time you remain calm, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you assert your boundaries, you honor your worth. Each time you rise above with perspective, you free yourself from the chains of needing validation. Slowly, these small victories stack up, and before long, you look back and realize you are no longer the same person. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer fragile. You are no longer dependent on the approval of others. You have become solid. You have become unshakable. That is why mastering arguments is not just about communication skills. It is about character. It is about the kind of person you are becoming when the pressure is on. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy, but true strength is revealed in the fire. When the heat rises, when tempers flare, when chaos calls your name, do you break or do you rise? Do you give in or do you take control? These are the defining moments of your growth, and they are what separate the average from the exceptional. And here is the truth: you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You will make mistakes. You will lose your temper sometimes. You will cross lines you wish you hadn't. But every slip is another lesson, another chance to return stronger. The goal is not to never fall. It is to rise every time you do. Each argument becomes practice. Each conflict becomes training. And with every round of training, you become calmer, clearer, more powerful than before. The reward for this growth is far greater than winning arguments. It is peace of mind. It is respect that does not need to be demanded because it is naturally earned. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that no matter what storms come your way, you can handle them. This kind of peace follows you into every area of your life, your relationships, your career, your daily decisions. When you have mastered yourself in conflict, you carry a strength that shines everywhere you go. Never underestimate the impact of this transformation. When you live as someone who cannot be shaken, people notice, they respect you, they trust you, they look to you as a source of stability in their own chaos. And without even trying, you inspire them. Your calmness becomes contagious. Your boundaries teach them self-respect. Your perspective shows them freedom. This is how one person's self-mastery creates a ripple effect, touching lives far beyond their own. And that is the ultimate victory. Not only protecting your own peace, but also becoming a light for others. Because the world is filled with conflict, filled with voices shouting over each other, filled with people desperate to prove themselves. In a world like that, the one who is calm, firm, and unshakable stands out. They lead without forcing. They influence without demanding. They inspire without even trying. That person can be you. That strength is already within you. It only waits for you to claim it. Would you like me to now craft a final closing segment, a powerful conclusion that ties every idea together and leaves the audience deeply moved and ready to take action?